aggression a path that will lead to massive consequences. And so even as we've been engaging in the diplomacy, which is my job and responsibility, we have been very resolutely preparing for Russia to take the other path, the path of aggression. And as I laid out, the work that we've done over the past couple of months in bringing allies and partners together around massive consequences for Russia should it renew its aggression, and the very detailed work that's been done on that.
But that
The
being
shoring up,
aggressive
let me
now,
finish if I may,
sorry.
please, and then come back to you. The shoring up in very significant ways of our support for Ukraine, including the defensive military support, the drawdown that the President issued in December, which is now being delivered to Ukraine, the additional steps to make sure that defensive military assistance was being made available to Ukraine, including the authorizations that I signed a week ago to allow other countries that have U.S. origin military equipment to share it with Ukraine. The work we're doing to bolster Ukraine's economy, the work we're doing to shore up Europe on energy if there are disruptions as a result of conflict. And, of course, the orders that the President gave, the Secretary of Defense gave earlier this week to make sure that we are fully prepared on a moment's notice to reinforce NATO's eastern flank in the event of renewed Russian aggression. All of those things have been happening very deliberately and effectively over the last many weeks. So these two paths and the approach that we've taken, these are mutually reinforcing. The work that we're doing on defense, on deterrence, bringing allies and partners together, I think reinforces our diplomacy. And at the same time, it's very important that we pursue the diplomacy, whether or not, you may well be right, that Russia's not serious about this at all. But we have an obligation to test that proposition, to pursue the diplomatic path, to leave no diplomatic stone unturned, because for sure, it's far preferable to resolve these differences peacefully, consistent with our principles, than it would be to have renewed aggression, renewed conflict, and everything that will follow from that. But the point is, we're prepared either way.
Mark.
Hello, Mr. Secretary. I just want to ask you a little bit about the unified approach with Europe.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of Germany's stance, for example? They ruled out sending lethal weapons to Ukraine. They prevented Estonia from delivering arms. And today, there was news out that they're sending helmets to Ukraine. A delivery Kyiv mayor said was a joke. Would you say that you're happy or satisfied with Germany sending helmets to Ukraine instead of arms shipments? And if I may just ask about President's comments yesterday, he said that he would consider sanctioning Putin personally if he decides to invade. How advanced are these plans? And then again, going back to unity with Europe, has the United States discussed this with Europe, and are they on board? Thank you.
First, let me say as a general matter, and I at the risk of patting ourselves on the shoulder, I have to say I was struck when I spoke to the Foreign Affairs Council of the European Union a couple of days ago, that partner after partner, this was in the EU context, but I've heard the same thing at NATO, referenced and the word that was used was unprecedented coordination and consultation with allies and partners on this issue and on this challenge. And one result of that unprecedented coordination and consultation is, as I see it, very strong solidarity in terms of the consequences that will befall Russia if it renews aggression against Ukraine. And that is across the board. And that includes Germany. And I was just in Germany, as you know very well, meeting with Chancellor Scholz and spending a lot of time with my German counterpart, Foreign Minister Baerbock. And as I said before, I'm absolutely confident in German solidarity in being together with us and other allies and partners in confronting renewed Russian aggression against Ukraine. Now look, different countries have different authorities, they have different capabilities, they have different areas of expertise, and we're bringing all of those to bear, but doing it in a way that is complementary. And it speaks to the shared commitment that we have to defend Ukraine's territorial integrity, its sovereignty, and its independence. When it comes to sanctions, I think as you heard the President say, everything is on the table. I can tell you this. The steps that we will take together, swiftly, will go directly to things that President Putin cares deeply about, including Russia's ability to engage economically and financially, including its ability to develop technology for the sectors that it cares most about, like defense, like high tech. And as the President said, everything is on the table, and I'll leave it at that.
Take a final question from Kelly.
Secretary, I'm just wondering if this document should be considered a proposal from President Biden to President Putin, and if you can also shine a little bit of light on President Biden's role in crafting this message.
Sure. Holly, again, the document that we've shared with Russia today does a few things. First and foremost, it states very clearly the principles that we're committed to and that we will defend one way or the other. Second, it lays out our own concerns and allied concerns about actions that Russia has taken, is taking, not just with regard to Ukraine, but more broadly in the European theater, that we believe undermine security. Third, it addresses concerns that Russia raised in the document that it provided to us a couple of weeks ago. And finally, it suggests areas where, based on reciprocity, we believe we could advance our collective security, again, in ways that address our concerns and in ways that address some of Russia's concerns. That's what this does. It's not a formal negotiating document. It's not explicit proposals. It lays out the areas and some ideas of how we can together, if they're serious, advance collective security. President Biden was intimately involved in this document. We've reviewed it with him repeatedly over the last weeks, just as we were getting, as you know, comment, input, ideas from allies and partners. It was vital that we work on this document, even though it goes to bilateral matters, and what NATO is providing presumably goes to the some broader issues that involve NATO and Russia. But allies and partners were intimately involved as well, and we took on board many of the comments they've made and integrated them into the document. But the President has been deeply involved in this from the get-go, reviewing various drafts of the proposal, making his own edits, and of course blessing the final document that was delivered to Russia today.
Thank you.
That, you know, Biden himself, U.S. Biden administration officials have said an invasion is potentially imminent. The stakes are incredibly high here, and you guys have also said that Putin is the decision maker. So why not address this directly to him, given the situation you're facing right now?
I'm not sure what you mean by address it directly to him. This is a document that was prepared on behalf of the United States by its government, being delivered to Russia and to its government, upon which President Putin presides. I have no doubt that our Russian counterparts and my counterpart, Foreign Minister Lavrov, will share the document with President Putin, and putting things in, perhaps everyone else, you may be right. And of course, these are also complex issues, and putting things in writing is also a good way, as we do all the time across the board, is a good way to make sure we're as precise as possible, and the Russians understand our positions, our ideas as clearly as possible. Right now, the document is with them, and the ball is in their court. We'll see what we do, as I've said repeatedly, whether they choose the path of diplomacy and dialogue, whether they decide to renew aggression against Ukraine. We're prepared either way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.